Good morning. Welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder. This is BRN AM for Tuesday, June 20th, 2023. And our top story today, wearable devices are significantly underutilized by people with heart disease. And joining me now to discuss this and a lot more, Dr. Rohan Khera is with the Yale University School of Medicine. Dr. Khera, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thanks for having me here.
Let's talk about wearable devices because there has been, I want to get your thoughts on this, but there has been considerable developments. I think of Apple, Fitbit. I mean, there are Garmin. There are so many different wearables out there, but yet they're underutilized significantly by people that have cardiovascular challenges. You did some work on this. What can you tell us? I mean, does that surprise you?
I think this is an important area of development, and we've seen so much growth in technology over the last decade that these devices increasingly have a lot more capabilities that they didn't have before. So it is surprising to me that we haven't leveraged these devices appropriately. There may be many reasons for that, but I think that is about to change. And the research we did was a tone setting study that essentially understands what the current landscape is like, who is not using them, what may be challenges that we can forecast. And that was the real reason to do the study.
So these devices now, they can read your heart rate, and they've been able to read your heart rate. You can even do an EKG. I've been reading they're soon to be or will be or are glucose monitoring apps. I know Apple's working on something that can actually kind of tap into your bloodstream or something through your wrist. So why the hesitancy? Why aren't people? If I had a heart condition, doctor, I don't, knock on wood. If I had a heart condition, I'd want to be able to keep track of all this data so I could hand it to my health practitioner. So why?
I think awareness may be a key component, and then the financial burden of purchasing a device. And I can dissect a couple of those aspects a little further. Sure. I would say awareness in the sense that, while you and I may discuss these and come across through our family members, through advertisements on TV, we have many venues where we get information on this. But there are members of our community who are busy at work, have work commitments, or actually live in a different universe than we might. And then for them, this information may not be accessible of what's out there. Second, I would say, when you need to put food on the table, especially if you have disease, then you're actually juggling the cost of covering therapy for the disease. Then for many, unless there is a dedicated effort from the medical community to identify where they actually work, not just like, hey, this technology exists, but where it actually works, may be critical in informing, what, we need this device in this particular individual to derive this particular benefit. And that arc is never clear to us. And especially when it's not, then it seems like a frivolous expense.
Yeah. So are practitioners, and this is your area of expertise, are practitioners endorsing that's not the right word, but endorsing the use of these devices? Because I think of all the medical data, I've read that, hey, there's a lot of data, maybe some of it's useful, some of it's not. But I would think as a practitioner, I'd want as many sources as I can to monitor at-risk clients, at-risk patients.
I would say that has some challenges that come with that recommendation. We don't recommend things that we do not develop or have consistent evidence on. So it's not like we can measure heart rate or measure ECGs, but does that measurement eventually lead to our patients having better care and better outcomes? I think that always remains a key consideration. And for many of these things, the evidence is still growing. And so we don't know if a person's ability to do an electrocardiogram on their wrist allows us to deliver better care. So that I think is always a doubt in our practitioner or a health clinician's mind, but if this should be recommended. And second, I would bring about this. I don't like to recommend something which I cannot offer equitably to every person I see. And so that for that reason alone, while I see a lot of information available from these devices, among my patients who already afford them and bring them as an opportunistic piece of evidence. And I'll try and use that information if I can. But I cannot make, in good conscience, recommend a device. One, not just because of the evidence challenge, but because I cannot guarantee that all my patients can get them. And I think that's a key challenge that I think comes across in our study as well.
Yeah. Dr. Khera, I need to take a very quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about leveling the landscape when it comes to access to wearable devices. You're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms, especially for the smaller businesses? I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
Are you stuck with a low credit score? A credit report and score that's causing you to be denied credit or pay higher interest rates than others for the same things? Then do what Terrence did and call Credit Repaired for your free credit evaluation to help restore your credit.
I started thinking about buying a new house, and my score wasn't where I needed it to be. I called and spoke with one of the representatives, and we just had a good conversation, and I liked what he was saying.
Just one call for his free credit evaluation was all it took to start back on the track to repairing his credit.
I'm seeing the deletions and I'm getting the report, so I know something's being done. It does make a difference to me.
All it takes is one call to get started.
Credit Repair has given me a second chance to have a better credit score.
Don't let a low credit score hold you back another day. Do what Terrence did and make the call for your free credit evaluation.
Call 800-819-4152. That's 800-819-4152. Again, 800-819-4152.
Welcome back. We're joined this morning by Dr. Rohan Khera of the Yale University School of Medicine. Dr. Khera, thanks so much for staying with us this morning. Really appreciate you hanging around for segment number 2.
Of course, no. This has been a great conversation.
Yeah, this is a fun one, really important conversation too. Let's talk about, you talked about equity and a lot of health. Well, let me ask you this. Health insurance providers, are they stepping up? They certainly probably realize the collection of data. From an insurance perspective, when you have an insurance pool, you want to make sure that you are keeping good data about your insurance pool to offer the right premium. But are they offering, you talk about equity, are they offering ways to pay for some of these devices to help level the playing field?
I haven't seen that come across yet. In my broad overview of health insurance, which like most individuals would like have, these devices or their use is not covered under as, even a health expense. It's not even like you can't even deduct it from your insurance, or you don't even get some sort of credit to purchasing and owning these devices. And again, I do want to clarify that the work we've done so far has not been supported or funded by any of the wearable device manufacturers. I approach this very objectively. And so the evidence is still emerging. And our hope is that as and when the evidence base is strong enough, especially for some, populations, some patient groups, we are able to step up to the challenge. And I think that's where insurance companies would come in, would be the great leveling field for a lot of people, because then we can offer these therapies to everyone, not just those who, are, privileged to actually have the resources to own these devices.
And what about achieving economies of scale so that an Apple, a Fitbit, a Garmin, I think about blood pressure monitors. You can go down to your local drugstore. We're not going to name names here because they're not sponsors of the program, but you can get a blood pressure monitor somewhere between $20 and $30 for the just basic. So it does broader adoption create more economies of scale and therefore allow for prices to come down and therefore more access to these types of products.
I mean, that's a very good point. Mostly, I think this is bound to happen, that technology, as has been the case in any household technology, we expect the cost of producing the same technology to go down. But what's really happening in this space is that the quality of sensors, the quality of inputs, the quantity of inputs, the nature of inputs has improved and changed over time in battle. Therefore, cost has actually gone up for many of these devices. If you look at Apple Watch and some of the others, because they've added newer sensors and newer features, they actually been able to increase the cost or like not change at all. And eventually we'll get to a point of plateauing of the benefits you can derive and the features you have. And then I expect that we will see either other players in the mix who are able to offer many of these at a lower cost or maybe less aesthetic features, but offer the same clinical grade solutions. And I think time will tell that we are able to get to that point, and how long does it take?
Yeah, and a thought occurred to me when you mentioned health insurers, not to kind of backtrack, but think about Medicare, and there's a vested interest. I think about just from the health insurance perspective, but Medicare, Medicaid, if you can create, and we're seeing negotiations in terms of, drug rates and things like that. I'm wondering if these devices could be leveraged for our older Americans in particular, who might have more health related issues. It could lower the cost of dealing with some of these chronic long-term conditions, actually help lower healthcare costs. So I think there's a lot of opportunity here, Doctor.
Of course. And I'm glad you bring up the Medicare question, because in our study, we found that older Americans were less likely to be using these devices than younger Americans. And I would say that's, while not wholly unexpected, technology diffusion is targeted at younger audiences. But I mean, that shouldn't mean that we cannot change the balance in the favor of those who need them most, especially if it's backed by an idea of reducing healthcare utilization and costs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just to me makes sense. Well, Doctor, we're going to have to leave it there. Great to talk to you. Great study, and we look forward to having you back on the program again very soon, sir.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
And that wraps up this episode of BRNAM. Have a topic of interest, somebody you think we should talk to, drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the latest curated news and lifestyle, wellness, finance, tech, so much more, and all in one place, check out today's edition of our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. Want to search our archives, check out our latest content, visit our website, and of course, all of our streaming partners. We're back again tomorrow for another edition of BRNAM. You're not going to miss it. Until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes. Now is your opportunity to co-create content around any topic on the First Lifestyle and Wellness Network. Reach a global audience through our platform and co-own exclusive branded content. All of our programs are available on demand and also as audio-only podcasts, so you can take us on the go. Broadcast Retirement Network, available anytime, anywhere, and on any device.
Tax audits, tax liens, wage garnishments.
Every day we hear stories like this about good folks who are simply struggling to pay their bills. Each of them are living a frightening IRS tax nightmare, and they are afraid it will destroy their lives.
I'm a divorced single mom, and my ex-husband left me and the kids with a lot of unpaid bills, including unpaid taxes. I was really starting to show my stress on my kids because the IRS had sent me a letter demanding a huge payment from me. I couldn't afford it. So then the IRS was threatening to garnish my wages. I'm already living paycheck to paycheck. That would have put me over the edge financially.
It truly seemed hopeless, but then a friend at work told her to call the tax relief line.
The people at the tax relief line, they told me about something called innocent spouse relief. They worked it out so that all of the taxes from my ex are not my problem. I don't know how that works, and I don't care. All I care about is that I don't owe the IRS a dime, and they are not going to take my paycheck.
Even if it seems hopeless, you should call the number on your screen right now. There is absolutely no cost for the call or the consultation. You are under no obligation. If you are worried that the IRS could garnish your wages, seize your assets, even take your home, call us right now. The Tax Relief Line is here to help you. Now you have a knowledgeable, professional team of tax experts that are ready to negotiate with the IRS and fight for you to save you money. The Tax Relief Line's professionals have successfully negotiated thousands of cases, reducing and sometimes even eliminating the tax debt for their clients. It's very easy to get started. Simply call the number on your screen right now. You don't have to live in fear anymore. The call and the consultation are free.